So I feel as though if you're in a setting where there's, family conflict and a child is born into that setting, the parents have more control on seeking therapy. The parents have more control of talking it out. A child, for example, if he or she is in an environment where there's obvious family conflict, they don't really have any say so, especially if they're a very, very young child.
Yeah, I can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Being raised in that environment and not resolving the conflict that they've been around, how could that affect someone being an adult? Being raised in an abusive household, seeing your mom and get beat by your dad, being raised in a household where there's a lot of arguing, being raised in a household where because your mom and your dad don't see eye to eye and they isolate themselves from each other, they isolate from you.
It's great. It's great. I appreciate that. It's great having the example. So let's, these questions, the running joke in family therapy is that the answer to every question is it depends, because it's just so wide ranging. But this is a great example. So let's just run with that example where you have, let's just go with just I'm just envisioning just a little boy, who watched his mom get abused. Let's say physically abused. Let's say yelling. There's a lot of yelling and screaming, and that is certainly traumatic. And the running definition that I like to stick with what trauma is, which it's changed over the years, defined by this group, that group, but I like the definition of anything that happens to you in life that leads you to develop negative, limiting, or erroneous beliefs about yourself that then leads you to behave in ways that just aren't skillful or aren't practical for you. So here's the example. Most children just can't do anything about that. But children are also incredibly adaptive and resilient. I mean, humans are adaptive and resilient. It's incredible what we endure. So a child endures. Maybe he goes and hides under his bed. Maybe he gets really withdrawn. Because if I shrink myself, if I become not a problem, maybe I can reduce some of that conflict. A different child might go a different direction. Mom and dad are fighting. And this is all unconscious, by the way. This is all just about getting needs met. Children are not manipulative. We're just trying to get our needs met. Adults are rarely manipulative in the way that we sometimes claim. That person's a narcissist. They're manipulative. They're this, Sometimes that's true, but even those people, it's just usually been a long history of trauma. Another child might go the other direction and become the oppositional defiant kid, the one who's in trouble all the time, the one who has tantrums, the one who throws things. Not only because he's modeling it, but what does that serve to do? It usually has a function within the wider family system. What it might do is it distracts the conflict happening between mom and dad, or mom or dad and another sibling. Another version is a kid might become very helpless, almost ill, not ill literally, but maybe frequent stomach aches or something, which children typically show emotional distress physically in their stomach. That's typically how it shows up for children. So anytime you hear a child say, a stomach ache, a stomach ache, yeah, they're going through some kind of emotional thing usually. That sometimes can soften the parents because then they need to take care of the kid. So we see these patterns, and again, it's not about this conscious, I'm going to distract my mom and dad by this. It's just happens because families are a living system, just like an ecosystem. And there's a thing it's greater than the sum of its parts. So trauma happens because some belief, like I said, some belief was developed about the world, about relationships, but usually about myself. So an example of that I'm thinking of right away is that, like, okay, let's say that this little boy experienced all that. Maybe he had to like nurse his mom's wounds. Maybe he had to like help her out emotionally because she couldn't get out of the relationship or something. And he grows up not only having felt the pressure of that, and he grows up with a working definition in his body of what yelling or raised voices mean. His nervous system has acclimated to that. His brain might know different, like his frontal cortex brain, but his primal, like, protective part of his body will experience something. So what we might find in this example is a relationship. Let's say they arrive on my couch, and the urging, the distress, the complaint of his partner might be, I can't bring anything up without him just retreating and leaving. He leaves the room, and if he doesn't leave the room, he just shuts down. He just goes away, and I just feel abandoned, and I get so mad, and then I just start finger pointing. But it's like, I just want to keep him here. And it's like I can't do anything, or I can't say it right. Well, as we dig deeper, and he might show up, and he might be a little bitter. He might say, she's always bringing up the negative. She's always doing this. She's just, I can't do anything right. Doesn't matter how it's set. He might have all these things. But as we soften, as we get deeper, as I understand maybe his history, we can start to make a link and go, oh, so the cue is, this is why I like to identify very specific triggers. So when her face changes, you see her eyebrows come down, you hear her voice change, your body just says she's mad at me, and you hear that raised voice. And then she might cut in and goes, I'm not raising my voice. But to him, that might send him back to 9 years old, hiding under the bed or whatever he had to do. Leaving the situation as a kid was probably the best option. It sets a template inside that says anytime there's a thing that's remotely like this in your attachment relationship, you got to do this. So his body just does it for him. The nervous system's amazingly efficient. It does it without us having to think. The problem is that we're not in that situation anymore. And that's when it's trauma, is that when your body kind of can't tell the difference. I'm not the little boy under the bed. So it's just like, again, it's so efficient. It's trying to protect him. But he doesn't know this. He's just looking at above the iceberg. He's looking at the content.
Yeah.
But as people start to understand themselves better, and this is why I love the work I do, and this is why I wanted to work with couples, multiple people in the room, because let's say I was working with him individually, our invented person right now, he would get to this place of, wow, that'd be great if he realized that, good intrapsychic, like, understanding of himself. Maybe feels a little better. But what's really powerful is when it works, his partner sitting right there understands him and sees him differently. Maybe she or he even says, I never understood it that way. That makes so much sense. Now imagine what that would do. Oh my gosh. Complete shift. That's when you're under the surface. That's when you get to the bottom of the iceberg right there.